All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful idea, a major mindset shift in how we learn and solve problems. We're going to use a classic cybersecurity challenge called Kioptrix as our case study, but you're about to see how the secret to beating it applies to, well, pretty much everything. So let's start here with these two words. Now, if you don't happen to read Korean, you might be looking at this and thinking, what on earth is that? Is it some kind of secret code, a command line I'm supposed to recognize? Well, this right here, this is the very beginning of our journey today. It's square one. It turns out it's actually something we've all seen before. 새 memo just means new memo in Korean. You know the one? That blank document? That empty project? That fresh, intimidating canvas? It's the universal symbol for the start of any new project, and it's loaded with both awesome potential and, let's be real, a healthy dose of, uh-oh, where do I even start? And we all know this feeling, don't we? It's called the blank page effect. Just think about the last time you started something brand new. Maybe it was a coding project, a new hobby, or even just trying to figure out a complicated new recipe. You get that rush of excitement about what you could create, but it's mixed with that little knot of anxiety, that feeling of, okay, what's the very first step? And that question, where do I begin? That's exactly where so many of us fall into a super common trap. Our first instinct is almost always to start gathering stuff. We think, okay, I need to find the best software. I need to download all the right plugins. I need the perfect set of tools for the job. And it feels like we're making progress, but a lot of the time, we're just putting off the real work. So I want you to think about that for a second. When you're staring at that blank page, what are the very first questions that pop into your head? Because it turns out the kind of question you ask right at the beginning pretty much sets your entire strategy. It can be the difference between making real progress and just spinning your wheels. And check this out. This slide lays out the two mindsets perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the tool first questions. They're all about the what. What program? What features do I need to learn? For a challenge like Kioptrix, this sounds like, what's the absolute best port scanner out there? But then look at the right side. The process first questions are all about the why and the how. What's my actual goal here? What's the plan? This is asking, wait, what information do I even need to find in the first place? One path has you just collecting hammers, and the other has you actually building the house. And this is exactly why the tool-first approach is so dangerous. It creates this illusion of progress. You know the feeling, right? You spend a whole weekend watching tutorials for a new program, but you never actually build anything with it. Or you think that buying that super expensive piece of gear is what's going to make you an expert. You feel busy for sure, but you're not actually getting any closer to your real goal. So here it is. This is the pivot. This is the big mindset shift we need to make. We've got to stop obsessing over our tools and start focusing on the quality of our decisions. It's really not about what you have in your toolbox. It's all about what you choose to do with it. This quote just nails it. A true professional doesn't matter if they're a cybersecurity expert, a chef, or a musician. They understand that the tools are just there to serve the process. Their real talent, their secret sauce is in their strategy, their workflow, and their ability to make the right call at the right time. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. True mastery is all about judgment. It's about understanding the problem so deeply that you know exactly which tool to grab and precisely why you're grabbing it at that exact moment. Look, anybody can memorize what all the buttons do. Mastery is knowing the consequence of pressing each one. Okay, so this all sounds good, right? But the big question is, how do we actually do it? How do we stop being a tool collector and start thinking strategically? Well, let's break this down into a practical framework that you can start using like today. This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? But here's the good news. It's not some kind of magic trick. It's just a disciplined way of thinking. And just like any other skill, you can practice it and get better. It all starts by looking at a challenge and breaking it down, not by the tools you think you need, but by the decisions you have to make along the way. And here it is, a simple but seriously powerful four-step process. First, step one, define the objective. Before you touch a single tool, you have to know with absolute clarity what the finish line looks like. For Kioptrix, that goal is crystal clear: get root access, period. Okay, step two, map the system. Now you have to figure out the lay of the land. What are the moving parts? How do they all connect? In our example, this is where you'd scan the network, see what services are running, find open ports. You're literally building a mental map of your target. Then, step three, identify key decision points. Once you have that map, you can start to see the forks in the road, the few crucial choices that are going to have the biggest impact. It's not about trying every single door. It's about finding the most promising, unlocked window based on your map. And finally, step 4, execute and adapt. Now it's time to act. You pick a tool, you try something. But, and this is key, if it fails, you don't just randomly try another tool. You adapt. You go back to your map, look at the information you have, and you make a new, smarter decision. And just like that, we've come full circle. We started with that scary, intimidating blank page, our new memo, and now we actually have a clearer strategic path forward. This process takes a huge, daunting challenge and breaks it down into a totally manageable series of steps and decisions. So here's the most important part. This whole idea isn't just for a tech challenge like Kioptrix. Sure, in that world, the objective is root access, the system is the network, and the decisions are about vulnerabilities. But this process-first mindset, it's universal. You can use this exact framework to learn to cook, to launch a business, to get in shape, anything. The specific goal, the system, and the decisions will all change, but that core way of thinking stays exactly the same. Look, if you only take one single thing away from this explainer today, please let it be this. Stop trying to master a piece of software. Stop trying to master a piece of gear. Instead, focus every bit of your energy on deeply, truly understanding and mastering the problem you're trying to solve. Because when you do that, picking the right tools just becomes the easy part. So as we wrap things up here, I'm going to turn the question back over to you. Think about that blank page that's sitting in front of you in your own life right now, that new skill you want to learn, that big project at work. How can you approach it differently now? Instead of starting by asking, what tools do I need? What if you started by asking, what's my real objective here? And what's the process to get there? So, what will you master next?